Hello and welcome to another episode of Alan Writes. We're working on Lucky Gold. Uh, I did a little bit of writing because the fancy took me. I needed to end thing with a little bit of Tyler so I can lead into him on the next chapter. Because continuity is important. It's his plan that's unfolding, and I need to shift things back to him in terms of emphasis. Uh, it really does matter what order and sequence you put things in, and sometimes for dramatic effect, you want to leave it off on a cliffhanger where people want to turn the pages. And in this case, we have Tyler finished his dinner, steak rare and shrimp otherwise. The shrimp had been larger than he was accustomed to seeing, but not so large as those as those from old photographs. They simply didn't grow big anymore before harvesting. What a sad state of affairs. Actual jumbo shrimp would have gone better with the steak. Almost time, Mary Bell said to him. She hadn't checked her watch, but she'd be right. Any adjustment to the plan? No, Tyler said, and took up his napkin. The juices of the steak came away from the corners of his lips. From the corners of the corner from his lips. Staining the white linen darkly. I'm going down to lose a fortune, to lose a fortune and gain one. All right, that's his plan. His plan in a magical sense is basically to lose enough and stuff Heather so full, or to empty her out to stuff her full of basically the energy she can't process as magic, because when you're using magic, how should I put this? There's a give and take. If you've heard this before, there's whatever you use, you've got to find from somewhere. And if you're processing too many energies, then there's issues with that, and the body will try to rectify that, and it can kill you. In fact, if you use magic too much, what you have from most people is they end up emptying themselves. Is they push out the magics into the world, so that the world owes them. They're really paying it forward. So there we go. They by paying it forward, the energies ripple through you, and they simply cancel out in a metaphorical sense, so that you don't have to pay the price. You pay the price in advance, a bit by bit, and then there you go. If you heard that little beep, that means that there's somebody who may be trying to message me. I'm on call for finishing up a scenario, and well, there you go. I'm in the middle of something and trying to write as well. Difficult to split my attention. Part of me wants to hop right over there and see what the message is, but the better part of me knows that that won't probably be the message I'm waiting for. All right. Tyler, the elevator doors. Tyler waited patiently as the elevator descended. No, I want the doors to open. The doors open. The doors to the elevator open. Doors, the elevator doors specifically, opened and gave Tyler the full view of the betting floor, of the casino floor. Bright, shiny, jangly. It was a beacon for fools looking to make some money or have some fun. Few of them would get both. Certainly not him today. Certainly not himself today. Certainly not himself. Certainly not him today. As he stepped out, the suit freshly pressed, and starched just enough. The royal of the of it came to him. Small fortunes being traded. Small tugs. Let's not get too deep. Here and there. Of people striving to use fortune no actual practitioners though. Not yet. Had gone only a few paces for Mr. Shakan approached. All smiles and a welcoming gesture. Mr. Kraus, how good of you. Mr. Shakan called over. Everything has been arranged this way. Thank you, Tyler replied, and fell in step. How did that other thing go? Well, I understand if you can't talk about it, Tyler said and pulsed a little nickel. What I know whatever happened was certainly beyond me. It was, Mr. Shakan had to say, and then hesitated. Resistance to nickel. A little counter magic at the instinctual level. Innovative. Magnetics, as you know. Somehow in the dice. With the house dice. At least I assume they worked with the house dice. If they could swap in other dice, Quite true. Kind of said. I cannot, at least, as they cleared the gaming pits and headed into the sedate back room. Quite true. I cannot release. Speak of it. Rest assured, we will in the future. You tell the other casinos about this as a courtesy? Kyler asked. And chuckled inwardly as Mr. Shakan. Grimace could not be hidden. That is a matter beyond my control. Made sense. One casino was burned by technique and learned to avoid it. Why allow other casinos the value better to them also take losses. And besides, experience was a great teacher, especially if it left scars. The casino table. Poker table. Poker table was a familiar one. Seemingly was a familiar one. Expensive, seen in movies, casinos. You had to wonder if there was a reason for the style, or people were just comfortable with it. Could be either. Probably both. Casinos had been making money for decades. A lot of effort would have gone into making a little more. So do we do some of the myths and legends of casinos in the early days? Not the pumping the oxygen into the yeah, they didn't pump oxygen into the place to make people giddy. That was just silly and expensive. Instead, they reduced the exterior lighting to diminish the harshness of the sun or the neon amid the night. No clocks in here either. Of course, everyone had a cell phone they could check, or watch they could check. But there wasn't anything on the walls to tip the gamblers to do so. Though maybe there were a few in the what do they call that? You know, I like putting all this down, but I don't know if it's got a place here. The air smelled cleaner too. Less sweat. So, is it true to pump oxygen in to keep people euphoric? Tyler asked. Chuckled at that. Of course not. First, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work well. Second, it would be expensive. And third, if we did it, then our fire insurance skyrocket. Makes sense. Still, the lighting is all artificial. That's a silly myth. Still, the lighting. No clocks. And the sun is harsh in Nevada. And the neon bright at night. As for the clocks, all right. Everyone has a makes sense. No clocks. Clocks needed. Except in the what do they call that? In the betting room. In the race room. I need to research that. Has different races. I feel informed. As they neared the back table. Go on. The table was covered with floral design. The table held a floral design. Intricate with many sorts of flowers, all in bloom. The center was more, what would you call it? More Spartan, regular, with the usual pale green, what do you call that? Padding and white shapes to divide things up. So chips for the Texas Hold'em, I think it's just one dealer. Stacks of chips for the dealer. Stacks for the 4 others at the table. None of whom were since this isn't a tournament, I know if you're in a tournament and you just simply choose not to show up, you can set it where basically you keep making the small blind, the initial bid, and then immediately folding, just to reserve your space at the table. But that's not the case here. This is just a couple hours on, couple hours off. High rollers. Is it a high roller table? Yeah, it's a high roller table. It's all high rollers. There's an Asian businessman, and what could have been his wife. Clearly less than wifely blonde. Two dressed somberly. But clearly eager to begin. A less than wifely blonde was at the other end of the table. Low-cut red dress styled for the cinema. What else? Equally Hollywood man, mid-40s, graying but hiding it. Slouched casual, as if waiting for a director to yell, "Action!" One said anything. He took his seat. What was the protocol here? Amongst those you were ostensibly trying to take money from. Jovial? Guard? For the odds. Cautious indifference. Paranoia. Keep your chips close and your cards closer. You try to smile. It went nowhere. But there was interest from Mr. Hollywood. There was a ping. Now I'm going to ask myself, do I care? No, Tyler is just marking time until Heather, guest of honor, appears. Starlet, actually really smart and looking to fund a movie. And bored. Mr. Hollywood is preparing for a part. He'll lose a set amount and withdraw. Experience tact. The Asian couple, happily married, having fun. They own a big business. So these are all high rollers or special people, and Heather could win quite a bit. Get a phone call and withdraw. Experience intact with little loss. Alright. That's going to have to be that. I'll figure out where we're going from here. Because do I care? What's important is that we're figuring out who Tyler is and what his game plan is, how he's going to do it. The others are just chaff for him and Heather to bat things back and forth. After all, Tyler is here to lose, but he's here to lose to her specifically. So this is as much a challenge as anything else, and we get to see him work. The limits of his ability. I don't think he can see cards. Or what they are, or see through them. He'll wish he had drew cards, auto, can still mentally count them, but it is a big shuffled reshuffled shoe, which makes that of limited value. You can always count card count. I mean, you can. It's a question of how effective it is, how well things shift in your favor, and they will. But you know, it's there. Can still mentally count them. Count chips. Reflex has a mental map set to mind. And this is called a hanging spell. Not that it's a spell per se, but it's a hanging spell. He does magic, he says. It's a hanging effect, really. Borrowing that from White Wolf's Mage. Lots of good terminology in that series. Some of it extremely weird, but very cool. Very cool. All right. Anyway, this has been Alan Wrights, working Lucky Gold, and we're going to keep working on it until it's done, no matter how boring that ends up being. But I hope you've enjoyed this anyway, despite my best efforts otherwise. I'm kidding on that. I'm kidding. I do try to make this interesting, but the creative process is, by nature, less thrilling than you might like. But if you're actually doing the writing, it's better. It is better. So I ask that you go out and try it yourself. Enjoy the writing, stay safe, and take care out there, all right? Thanks.